I wish I had a time machine. And if I had that time machine, I would step inside it and go back quite a number of years and visit a shopping mall. And inside of that mall, I would imbibe in the regional fair and I would just walk around and probably end up at Gadzooks or Hot Topic, but that is something to talk about in another video. The last few weeks have been pretty wild for my plant collection. So today I thought it'd be fun to talk about my feelings and give a little update. I'm Willie, by the way, and I make weekly videos about my houseplants, my life, and all of the existential quandaries in between, and I'm really glad you're here. If my deadpan delivery and maudlin attitude hasn't turned you off, then please hit that like button. And if you want to deepen our parasocial connection, hit that subscribe button as well. I gotta get Whispers comfortable. She's sitting on the couch next to me here. So life update. The plants are doing a little bit better, although I am still very shy to say there's been any real improvement to preserve the tiniest shred of optimism that I have left. It is very, very tiny. Also, random non sequitur, I went and saw Dune Part 2. I was gonna put my rabbit ears up. It was grand, it was bleak, and it was, above all else, immersive. For a hot minute, I thought about making a video entitled The Houseplants of Dune, but then I remembered it's in a dystopian narrative and they're in the middle of a desert on a planet with no water, so that topic didn't get very far in R&D. Yeah, that was self-reflection. Let's dive into this update. Am I really going to post this on the internet? Yes. I feel like I was wearing this exact hat and overalls in another video, but like Jenny from the block, I am real, or so I tell myself. Maybe identity is completely a construct. So first, things are living and it is much cleaner after last week. Like once something is clean, you just feel like the possibilities are endless. First, I'm gonna show you this, oh dear. Well, we have some promising things about the Pink Princess and some not. And that's every interaction I have with this plant. We have some new leaves that look really pretty good, not too gross. One tiny leaf that is falling off, which I'm just gonna pinch off now, I guess. Oh, it's still kind of going. Yep, and then we just lost this one. I down potted the Ficus shiveriana. This new leaf is really coming out pretty nice. Looking good. Nick cut a little stake for it. And the down potting seems to be helping. I like this a lot. That's been kind of a theme on a lot of these plants. And that's a good lesson to learn because the smaller the pot, usually the cheaper it is. So there's no reason to be up potting for me before I need to. So I think I want to put them in the bigger pot so they'll be bigger plants. It's like reverse psychology. It impedes them from becoming bigger because the roots don't develop and they have to make enough roots to survive in the big pot without falling over. That is a roundabout way of saying, be careful not to overpot your plants. Oh, and another hot tip. Just water them, which I have not been doing correctly. I'm just randomly pulling stuff that is doing good and doing bad. This has gotten repotted from the string of pearls that is up above, and it is doing good. Very cute, anthropomorphized 3D printed pots. But I'm happy to report that this one is growing good. This is an exciting update for me, kind of. So this is the Queen Antherium stump, and I don't think my lens is good enough, but we have an emerging new growth point. I'm really making sure to water it well, give it lots of light, and I'm just hoping for the best. You know, like when something just feels better, it feels like a weight is lifted in here. Antherium fingers, pretty much the same as last week, maybe slightly better. The improvement is decorative. I have installed a little chameleon bauble on the stem. So if the movie Showgirls has taught me anything, it would be that if situations are messed up at the core, just add a rhinestone and keep going and hope that no one drops any beads in your path. And while the Antherium fingers has dropped a lot of beads, directly on my walking path. I'm happy to say that this week we're getting along. And what it has to teach me, you can't learn in any school. Showing you this next plant is kind of like my plant equivalent of watching The Swan. Does anyone else remember that problematic reality show where someone goes through a lot of intense plastic surgery and then emerges as a different version of themselves? My modern vernacular would not verbatim say better, but a different version. And that is much like this plant. This is the Cebu Blue Pothos that we chopped up, popped the propagations in the soil, and took out the honeycomb grid. So now we have trailing down plant as opposed to a climbing plant. For my aesthetic needs, and more importantly style, I think this is working a lot better. I think this still might be my favorite on a whole of any plant. The leaves look pretty good on camera, but in person the Cebu Blue is just like a stun. None are languishing, they seem to be taking to soil, hopefully they're rooting. I'm watching my moisture levels. So here's another hot tip, is if you have propagations going in the pot and you want to make sure that they stay moist, you can use one of these little squirt bottles and go like I'm doing right now on just the specific spots to keep them wet because they're not that deep down in the pot. And then you won't overwater the plant, but you're still getting the much needed moisture to the cuttings. This thing has worked really well for me in these endeavors. This is a new addition to the wall. It's just a garden variety Sansevieria. I have a really big one of these downstairs and I just chopped off one of the babies. That sounds crueler than it is. I think it actually likes being separated. There's a lot of sibling rivalry going on in that pot. These are really set it and forget it kind of plants. In an alternative timeline, this whole wall would just be snake plants, I think, and flourishing, like a zillion whale fins and this and the one that looks like a little nugget. You know how they say hope is really fragile? Basically, if you look up this specific scenario in the dictionary, would be me and my attempts to save this Philodendron Micans. But I do feel a little bit hopeful. Less yellow leaves. The top is fuller, of course, because there's a lot of propagations going on up there. It's just hope for the best. Clap if you believe in, what was it? Clap for Tinkerbell or something. Clap if you believe in fairies. This thing is not going well. Complaining is very much in canon for my existence. And this Syngonium elbow, do I want to open the floodgates? Kind of. I still like it. I got a really good deal on it, thank goodness, so if it dies, I don't think that's going to make it any easier, but I can justify that it wasn't that expensive if it dies. It seems like every new leaf that it pushes out, they're like strangulated or something. These variegated ones are great, but I've had a lot that have come out all white, and then of course they can't photosynthesize, so they just brown out and die. The variegation in this specific Syngonium I think is really unstable. So what that means for the future, compost bin in the sky, I would guess at some point, or maybe it'll get its act together. I think I am going to propagate some of these nodes to give me a little bit of an insurance policy, but for right now, let's bask in the good leaves here and live in the fantasy. Thumbnail face. Well, hands down, I think this might be the most exciting to report on. The King Antherium, aka the Antherium vetchii, has this nicely formed and beautiful new leaf. Definitely doesn't seem like it has emerged with very many humidity issues. This was another one that I down potted. Chef's kiss on the down potting. But this one is, yeah, definitely trucking along. I'm going to start fertilizing again. You know, I may seem bogged down and in a depressive state all the time, but I am looking towards the future and spring. So I'm gonna start giving these plants much needed food. I don't know, you guys, we might just pull it off, a king and a queen Antherium. Mentioning this is the Bilbata wax plant. It's a Hoya. Look how nice the top has grown in. This plant has a very waxy appearance. In person, it is much more dynamic with thin veining on all of the leaves, a slight tactical velvety touch, and this really charming cupping underneath. These were out in the wild a lot last summer. I haven't seen them yet this year. I like this. Highly recommend. I'm getting more into Hoyas all the time now. I don't have the Coco Coir pole anymore. We're gonna let it try its hand at being a trailing house plant, because vertical statement plants are best explored theoretically and don't work the best in reality. I will report back on the state of this now spindly beauty very soon, and let's hope for the best. I also need to clean the pot. That sounded like a metaphor for cleaning the toilet. All right. That's great. Also, I just kind of wanted to touch base about these large statement plants in my corner that are getting very large. I'd say they're in charge. The white bird of paradise and this Monstera deliciosa. We have new leaves at the top, one of which has its first little Swiss cheese hole. Save me from buying another Monstera, even if it is variegated. And now I'm just going to take a few moments to reminisce and reflect on the fact that I have been making houseplant related YouTube content for almost a year. And one of my big goals when I started this channel was to buy a Thai constellation Monstera when I reached 500 subscribers. Now that number is on the horizon, so my mind is working overtime. I've been watching all those videos about that $30,000 Monstera that is just so clutch, and it kind of already looks dead, which makes it even cooler. And if you had that, it'd kind of be like owning the banana with the duct tape. Well, there you have it. I've really enjoyed making this calm and cathartic video for you. I'll be back next week with something equally as compelling. Until then, if you wish to find me, look to the western sky or your smartphone, tablet, or home computer. Okay? That's all I got. Bye.